This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we look back at the football team's exciting 27-24 win over Colby to get the 2017 CBB Series underway on the right foot. Plus, the soccer and field hockey teams qualified for the NESCAC tournament in dramatic fashion, and the cross-country teams showed off their home course with great performances at the NESCAC Championships. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The football team won a back-and-forth battle with the Colby College Mules on Saturday in Waterville. After marching down the field but turning it over on their first drive, the Bobcats took the early lead on their second drive of the game, thanks to the legs of first-year Brendan Costa.
A 3rd and 4 situation here on the 30. Keeping this one himself again as Costa breaks one, breaks two, up the middle, they can't stop him, touchdown! It's Brendan Costa on the ground, on the keeper. It's a 30-yard touchdown run, 6-0 Bobcats.
The Mules tied the score at 7 in the second quarter, but just before halftime, senior Max Breschi made a huge play on defense.
Dropping back for the pass. O'Brien down the middle. It's picked off. Max Breschi with the big interception. And the Bobcats will get it back in Mules territory.
Then senior Grant DeWald put Bates up 10-7 at the half.
So here is Grant DeWald. Matt Golden will hold. 30-yard attempt. The kick is up. And it is right down Broadway. DeWald knocks it home, and that is going to do it for our first half of play.
The Mules tied things up at 10 early in the third quarter on a field goal of their own. But later in the quarter, junior Joe Frake picked off a pass, and the Bobcats converted the turnover into more points.
3rd and 4, though, 25 seconds left to go here. The run straight towards the end zone, and a touchdown for Mickoy Nichol. And the Bobcats are back on top. 16-10.
DeWald's extra point made the score 17-10 at the end of the third quarter. Early in the fourth quarter, Colby's Jack O'Brien ran for a touchdown to tie the score at 17. But on the ensuing drive, Bates answered in a big way.
So from the 48, play action pass, Costa goes deep. He hits his man in Daly for the touchdown.
The 52-yard touchdown pass and DeWald's extra point put Bates up 24-17. On Colby's next drive, the Bates defense made another key play.
And the first play of the drive is brought in by Sander, and he loses it. And the Bobcats will jump on top. Bernie Sander lost the ball. So a forced fumble there, and Bates gets it back.
The Bobcats took advantage again on offense, with DeWald hitting his second field goal of the game, putting Bates up by 10. The Mules cut the Bates lead to 3 with 2:31 to go in the game thanks to a touchdown, but Bates held on for the victory. Head coach Mark Harriman looks back at the Bobcats' first win of the season.
First of all, Coach, even though that first drive did not result in points, it sure established a tone, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was kind of what we were preaching to our guys all week, is that we felt we needed to go out and start fast and have some success on both sides of the ball, but specifically offensively. And, obviously we needed to come away with points on that drive, but we did really establish both the run game and the pass game during that drive.
I thought Frank Williams looked the best he's looked all year, didn't he?
Yeah, I think, there were a lot of guys that played well. I thought Mickoy Nichol as well played his best game of the year. Obviously, Brendan had a great game. We had a lot of guys that contributed in a lot of different ways, and it was, again, it was great, obviously, to get the win. But the thing for me that was really impressive was that I felt like it was a team win. There were a lot of guys that really played well and contributed to that.
When the jet sweeps were working pretty much all game, you're able to get to the edge. What from an offensive perspective, what's the key to being able to get to the edge like that?
Well, it starts up front, and we need to be able to really capture the last guy on the line of scrimmage and get the ball outside of him. And when we can do that, we're pretty successful. The offensive guys did a great job of changing out between some unbalanced looks, and so that the flank wasn't always the same. And I thought the guys that were carrying the ball did a great job with their reads, whether it was to take it outside or to get it back up inside.
Obviously, Golden was at dive back for part of the game along with Flaherty, just out of necessity with Boyer not playing. But Golden looks like he was throwing some nice blocks out there, too.
Yeah, they both did. I mean, I thought Kyle played as well as he has, getting really in a starting role. And Matt just continues to always impress me with, just his what he does on the field. I mean, he's a really good football player.
Costa, we know he can run, and that 30-yard touchdown was spectacular. The deep ball, though, he's got a nice touch on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's he just again he'll continue to improve. I think obviously he's a natural athlete, so the running probably is a little easier just because he does do that naturally. And he's really progressing well in the passing game, and that again I think the more he understands the system, he'll just continue to get better and better.
Nice to get Brian Daly involved. I know he had a good year last year, been a little quiet this year, but obviously a huge touchdown put you ahead for good there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think with all our guys, our receivers, it's nice. Again, it's part of the philosophy we try to instill is that we need to be successful. When we can be successful running football, then it opens everything else up. And certainly, Brian ran a great route and did a great job catching the ball, and it was a great pass by Brendan, but it was kind of set up from our ability to run the football.
Grant DeWald named the NESCAC Special Teams Player of the Week. A couple more field goals for him. He just keeps having really a great senior campaign, doesn't he?
Yeah. No, he's Grant's again does everything that we ask of him. We put him in a tough situation on that last one. I don't think anybody really wants to kick the ball from the 6-inch line because of the angle. But he was able to get it through, and that, obviously that was the difference.
Right, and the defense able to hang on there at the end. What did you see from the defense? Obviously, I thought Max Breschi was great. Tyler Harrington as well, Joe Frake.
Yeah, we had a lot of guys that played well. I mean, I thought both those three guys that you mentioned, I think Jack Maritz and Colin Richardson up front did a really good job. Didn't have the stats particularly, but if you watch what they did on tape and how they controlled things, they really did a good job. I think overall, again, it was a great effort. We had a lot of 3-and-outs. We didn't allow them for the most part. I mean, obviously there were a couple of drives, but for the most part to change field position, and that was big.
Close one, though. Obviously, Colby tried to rally there at the end. What was going through your mind kind of down the stretch?
The same thing that every time we play them. If you look at, as I told the team Friday night, the margin of victory for the last 4 games was less than a touchdown. And it certainly wasn't any different on Saturday. And I think being able to go through that and come out on top certainly will, be great experience for our guys, but also, give them the kind of the boost that we need.
Is there any sort of mental edge you think the players have since they've gone through this before and they know they've beaten Colby by a close margin in the past?
I think it's I think anytime you understand that, in these close games, it can come down to a couple of plays, and at the end we did make some plays on both sides of the balls that allowed us to, run the clock out and then defensively make a couple of plays to make sure that they weren't in field goal range to tie it up or obviously score. This
week, the big game, as they say, hosting Bowdoin at 12:30. Senior class has a chance to do something that hasn't been done, obviously, we've talked about before, but beating Bowdoin and Colby every year for 4 years. I mean, you don't really just say anything. They know this.
Yeah, they know it. I mean, they're bright guys. They understand the significance of that. I mean, and as I mentioned and will mention to them tonight in our team meeting is, that's great to reflect back upon when you're an alum. Right now it's about going out and winning a football game. So we're going to do everything we can to get ready to go out and beat Bowdoin. And, the icing on the cake will be obviously to keep the CBB trophy here. And then, again, the other benefits that go along with that, the 4 in a row and all that.
What should we know about Bowdoin? What have you seen from them on tape?
They're a good team. I mean, I think they're very athletic. They're young in certain areas, and I think that's been again, for both of us, that's kind of, as you go through those growing pains, I think that's that can, you can shoot yourself in the foot quite a few times, but they seem to have settled in with a quarterback that did a nice job last week, threw for over 300 yards against Wesleyan, which is a little different than the weeks before, where they've got a very good running back, and they focused more on him earlier. But so we'll see what we get. I mean, obviously they proved that they can throw the football effectively last week.
Great. Any other thoughts you wanted to share about Saturday's game that really stood out to you?
No, like I said before, I was very proud of, it's tough to go through a type of season that our guys have gone through up until this past Saturday, and to be able to hang tough in some critical situations and come out on top, I think was just really a testament to their fortitude, and what the care that they have for each other and for the program, and I think that was, for me, that was just something great to see. It was nice to see guys coming back on the bus with big smiles on their faces.
Coach Mark Harriman looking to keep the CBB trophy right here in Lewiston once again this Saturday. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
The women's soccer team wrapped up its season with a 2-0 win over Colby on Tuesday. Junior Olivia Amdur scored 2 goals, giving her 8 on the season, the most by a Bobcat since Julie Brown also scored 8 goals back in 2009. Bates finished the year with a .500 record, 7 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. The men's soccer team had to win at Colby on Wednesday in order to qualify for the NESCAC tournament. A draw would not have been good enough. With the score tied at 0, and with less than a minute remaining in the second overtime period, sophomore Beaufils Kimpolo came through.
Goldfarb to hit with the left foot again. Right to the mixer, the header back post. Knocked down, the shot, save, Gibson, rebound, score! The Bates Bobcats with 25 seconds to go have won. Beaufils Kimpolo Penne on a rebound volley.
In my mind, I was like, it's now or never. You have to do what you have to do for your team. Just shoot it, whether it goes on net or not, just take a chance. And I took my chance, and that was it.
The 1-0 victory sent the men's soccer team to the NESCAC tournament for the first time since 2010. On Saturday, they fell to defending national champion Tufts in the quarterfinals, but the Bobcats finished the 2017 season with an overall record of 8-6-2, their most wins since 2008. The field hockey team also qualified for the NESCAC tournament in dramatic fashion. Just like men's soccer, they need to win at Colby on Wednesday to get in. And the Bobcats prevailed 3-2, with junior Taylor Lough providing the game winner with just a few seconds remaining in regulation.
11 seconds left to go. Driven on in, centering feed, open net, they score!
I didn't care what it took. We weren't going into overtime, and we were winning that game.
Although the Bobcats fell in the quarterfinals to number 2 nationally ranked Middlebury on Saturday, Lough's season was one to remember. Her 10 goals are the most by a Bobcat since 2001, and Bates finished with an overall record of 9-7, the Bobcats' second straight year with a winning record. They beat 3 teams ranked in the top 10 nationally along the way. For Lough's 3 goals last week, she is our female Bobcat of the week.
Female Bobcat of the week, Taylor Lough, with us here on the Bobcast. And Taylor, let's go back midweek. Colby, you had to win again in the NESCAC tournament. 3rd straight year that's been the case. You did it. I mean, this is becoming almost a tradition.
Yeah, it was a great game. I think that being at Colby's on their turf, they have a different turf field than we have. So I think that they really knew how to work their field, and we were able, thankfully, to adapt and get that win.
Well, yeah, you told me the weather wasn't too much of a problem for you, at least personally. The field, how does that change things?
Well, field turfs, we have at Bates, we have an AstroTurf, a beautiful new investment, so that's been great. But some of our opponents have field turfs, which are a bit slower. So adjusting to the ball speed and really making sure you're cutting back to balls, and it takes a little bit more thought playing on field turf.
Got the game-winning goal in that game. Take us through it again. I mean, I know Allie made a great cross, didn't she?
Yeah, Allie, it was just like a great effort from the entire team. I think it started with Grace Fitzgerald, who came up with the ball and sent it to, I think, Emma Patterson at the left mid, who sent it to Allie, who crossed the ball. I collected it in front of the goal, and there was an open net, and I just took my time and really sent that in.
How aware were you of the clock? Because that's kind of tricky, isn't it, when there's that little time left, 7 seconds?
Well, we have been in practice. We do a lot of drills where we have to be aware of the time. So just working on that this season, I've become a little bit better at recognizing that, and I knew there was not a lot of time left. I knew that I had to put the ball in the net, that I couldn't take too long, but I think that just knowing that there was only between, I don't think I knew the exact time, but looking up at the clock, seeing 7 seconds, I was just so happy that it went in.
Right. Obviously a tough trip, long trip to Middlebury, a team that's obviously number 2 in the country. You were able to get another goal, though, so describe what happened on that play for you.
Well, just being a right forward, I think that not to use the word lucky, but I do have a lot of opportunities just because of my position. So again, the ball just appeared in front of me. I collected it on the right side of the circle and just sent it in with a hard shot. Yeah.
Is there anything about your strategy or what you've been working on that's allowed you to score 10 goals this year? You had a number of goals the previous seasons, but not 10.
Definitely an improvement this year. I mean, as I've told you in the past, field hockey does a lot in the off season, and personally I trained really hard this summer working on some more creative ways to score goals. And so I've been working a lot on my stick skills, and so my curl has been really effective this season. I think I've scored the majority of my goals off of curl to my strong side to get a shot off. So I think continue to work on that and maybe try some new things for next season.
Sure. I mean, obviously, tough loss to Middlebury, obviously a very talented team. What was Coach Ryder's message to the team after that match?
Yeah, it was a tough loss. Obviously, we wanted to keep moving forward. We knew that we could move forward, but Middlebury is a tough opponent. Danny her heart broke for us. I mean, it was a hard-fought game. We couldn't have played any better than we did. It was just some frustrating calls by the refs, and a goal got called back, so mentally that's hard to come back from, but I think that we really stayed strong throughout the game. We showed up for the full 70 minutes. Middlebury is a phenomenal team. They're number 2 in the country, and we're a great team too. I think that we definitely held our own. Just wasn't our game.
Well, now you're a junior, so you'll get another shot at it next year, and
yeah.
I know the senior class, I believe there were 4 of them, very solid senior class, but a lot of people returning next year. So that's probably going to be pretty exciting, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. We're not wasting any time. We're using our time that we still have together with the returners to really start to develop some more skills and get back in the weight room. So we're definitely getting ready for next season. As soon as that game ended, the next season started. So we're excited.
Right. I mean, you probably can't wait because this year's team had so many achievements that hadn't been done for a while.
Yeah, and you said it. We have a lot of returners. We are losing great players, but the idea of winning a national championship is definitely palpable, and I think that we are going to have a great program, and we've taken so many strides in the few years that I've been here. I really want to make my mark, and our whole grade and the program make that mark for next season.
All right, Taylor Lough, our female Bobcat of the week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Our male Bobcat of the week is first-year quarterback Brendan Costa. He threw for 132 yards and a touchdown on Saturday, and he found the end zone on the ground as well, running the ball 26 times for 155 yards. Costa is currently the second leading rusher in the NESCAC.
Well, I knew that it was a huge game of the year, CBB, the first part of it, so I know that in order to kind of capture the CBB, this is the first step, so that was really the most important thing that we talked about as a team, is making the first step in capturing the CBB title for the 4th straight year, at least.
Yeah, it seemed like offensively, opening drive, you didn't get any points on it, but it seemed like you were moving the ball well. Did that really give you a lot of confidence?
Yeah, we kind of went back to the drawing board on the sideline. We're like, we can move the ball on this team, it's no problem, so let's just get back out there and keep executing like we know, like the way that we know how.
Break down your 3-yard touchdown run. Obviously a designed play, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, when you drop back, a lot of the defenders, they get into their drop, so it kind of makes the middle wide open. So our dive backs, Kyle Flaherty, Matt Golden did awesome blocks. I saw in the middle linebacker. So it was a really good play for us this weekend.
What's going through your mind when you're making those runs? I mean, it's because you know when to cut, it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like it's all instinct. Just me, I've played football my whole life, so it's really just become instinct. Like when you see somebody, you just kind of, my body just reacts the way it always has my whole life.
Frank Williams seemed like he was back and fully healthy. Makes your job a little bit easier. Huh?
Oh yeah, Frank obviously is one of the best playmakers in the conference. He's awesome. He's fast. He can catch. He can run, and he made some great plays on Saturday to really help us move the ball. So.
Yeah, it seems like those jet sweeps were working really well.
Oh yeah, once Frank gets to the outside, you really can't catch him. It's hard to get him. He's a small, quick guy, and it's really hard to capture him.
And all your success running the ball set up that deep ball to Brian Daly. I mean, how much have you been working on for your deep balls?
Because we were going the whole game, we were running jet, a lot of jet, and then once we kind of sucked in the defense a little bit, you can go right over the top. It kind of opens up the passing game.
You got a chance to visit Bates and watch Bates and Colby last year. What do you remember about that experience?
I remember that Bates got out to a really early lead, and I was like, wow, this looks really good. And then Colby started coming back. It's like, oh no, and then Bates held on. So I kind of realized how close these games can be, and obviously you saw it on Saturday, only 3 points it took to win. So.
Yeah, you guys had to hold on again, but I bet everyone was pretty confident you could because you'd done it before.
Exactly. So all the seniors knew that all the seniors made it very clear to us that we don't lose to Colby, and we kind of knew that we could not lose to Colby, so we knew that we couldn't lose on that day.
How have you seen yourself develop over the course of this season? What have you really been focusing on?
I've been focused on really getting to know the playbook and to know my checks and all that. Because obviously I'm new to this playbook and all that, so getting to know my checks, my playbook, my reads, and just getting everybody involved in the game and getting the offense going. That's what I've been really focusing on.
I know Golden's been back there as a dive back kind of out of necessity because of some injuries and everything, but I know you and him are pretty good friends, right? So how cool is that to work with him?
Oh, it's awesome. I love playing with Matt. He's an awesome player. He's got one of the highest football IQs I can ever imagine. Like, he knows what he's doing on every play. He knows every position. So him back there with me, it's a pretty good combo for us right now.
I saw him throw a pretty nice block on Nichol's touchdown. Did you see that? The low block there?
No, I didn't see it, but I know that Matt works hard to get those blocks. He laid a pretty good block against Wesleyan too. He really can get out there and get some blocks going for us.
I think it's funny because he's technically the backup quarterback right now, but he's also doing the dive back. I mean, it's pretty physical for a guy who's a quarterback, huh?
Yeah, he's kind of our Swiss Army knife. He can kind of play any position. He has a lot of skill. He's got a great skill set. He can catch the ball if we need him to. He runs the ball hard. He can throw blocks. He can throw the ball. He can play really any position for us on the offensive side of the ball.
Did you guys see Colby as kind of the beginning of almost a new season, if you will, with the CBB series?
I think not too much of a new season, more of like we got to go into these next 2 games. We got to win them. We got to capture the CBB title because it means so much to the coaching staff and to the players and to really the Bates community that we hold on to that trophy. So
you're home this week against Bowdoin. What are your thoughts initially on what coming into this game? What's going to be key to victory? Well, obviously, no team is a pushover in this conference. Every team's good, so we got to go into the same game plan we've had. Just go in and execute what we've been practicing all year. Any other thoughts on the first collegiate win? Well, the first collegiate win was great. I love to get my first win under my belt. So I know all the freshmen are glad to get their first win under their belt also. So we just got to keep this train moving. All right, Brendan Costa, our male Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much. All right, thank you very much.
The cross-country teams hosted the NESCAC Championships on Saturday at Pineland Farms. The women finished 4th out of 11 teams, with senior Catherine Cook finishing 4th individually to earn first-team All-NESCAC honors. Meanwhile, sophomore Olivia LaMarche and junior Ayden Eickhoff earned second-team All-NESCAC honors. First-year Abby Hamilton earned the NESCAC Rookie of the Year award with her 21st place finish. This marks the Bobcats' most All-NESCAC selections in program history, and Eickhoff joined the Bobcast to look back on the meet. Only your second year with Bates running cross country. You've gone from not even being in the top 7 on the team to being an all-NESCAC performer. What's been the key to your rapid improvement, if you will?
Well, I think it all boils down to some more committed summer training. I was really, really focused on that this summer, and thankfully had the help and support from both the family I was staying with this summer in Portland and my family back home. And they really kept me, they reminded me to run, and a lot of it was personal because I did want to do better and I did want to help the team as much as possible. So with that comes hours training.
And obviously you've had great success in track. What's the difference when you're training for cross country, perhaps?
Longer mileage. I try to make it a little bit quicker mileage and maybe do shorter, but some of the girls on the team really like the longer, slower miles, which sometimes is hard for me. So I try to stay consistent in like the 6 or 7 mile range and, just try to build up my mileage and endurance that way. But it's still a transition. I'm not going to say I'm there because there could still be some improvement on that. But it is different for sure.
Well, what was your reaction when you found out you were All-NESCAC?
I actually was really confused. I was really happy that I had done well and also helped the team do well. But in the race, I didn't really know where I was. I didn't feel like I was running a fantastic race. It was a hard course, and it really takes a toll on you physically and emotionally. So I was really happy to get the reward of All-NESCAC at the end.
It was a hard course, but it's your home course. So, it wasn't anything new or different for you, huh?
Correct. It wasn't new. I knew what I was getting myself into. It was our first 6K of the season, however, and that definitely added on a mental challenge for sure. Even though it's only a couple more minutes of running, it does make it just that much harder.
The team as a whole, how do you thought? 4th place, 3rd place last year, so back-to-back pretty strong performances, right?
Yeah. I didn't actually know the scoring until it was announced at the end. I think it was really close, and I know in past years we haven't done as well as 3rd or 4th, so it was really, really nice to keep a consistently strong performance in the NESCAC.
So regionals coming up, I know that's almost like the be-all, end-all if you want to qualify for nationals, right?
It is. I'm actually not even really sure how that entire system works. It's very confusing, but yes, regionals is in about 2 weeks, so it gives us one last sort of hard push for this week and then a bit of a recovery week to really be able to get after it at regionals.
How familiar are you with that course in Gorham?
Not at all. I don't think that we've run there in a very long time, so none of the girls who are running there will have known the course, I believe.
So when you go into a course blind like that, what's the approach?
We sometimes get a chance to walk it either the day before or the morning before, but after that you just sort of have to realize that everyone's coming at it from that either limited experience or no experience on the course, and it can definitely add a little element of surprise.
Well, another strong performance was Abby getting Rookie of the Year. It's pretty cool to see that, right?
It is really cool. She has been an amazing addition to this team, coming off of just a really, really strong senior year of high school and really just adding so much to our team as a first year. And I'm really excited to see how she progresses for the next 4 years.
Any other thoughts, stories from the meet you would like to share with us? Any, alumni, I'm sure, were coming out in droves.
Yeah, the alumni were really amazing. I was so happy to see people like Jess Wilson, Isabel Unger. Their support means so much to me, and even when they can't make it to the meet, they often are still checking in with me. And actually, my father was able to come to this race, and he hasn't been at any of my collegiate races, so it was really, really awesome to have some family support as well as alumni support.
All the way from Montana, right?
He actually came from Belgium. That's where they live.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah, exactly. And they were here for some college visits, and it just happened to line up with this meet. So he was able to see his first collegiate cross-country race.
Did you enjoy it?
He did. It was a beautiful day, which really helped.
Great. Ayden Eickhoff, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
The men's cross-country team turned in a 3rd place finish at the NESCAC Championships, the men's best finish since 2011. Senior captain Zach Megan earned first-team All-NESCAC honors with a 6th place finish. Head coach Al Fereshetian discusses what it was like to host the meet and his team's performance.
I think it went really well overall. Pineland's just such an outstanding facility. The support we get from their staff is tremendous. They did a phenomenal job of preparing that course, including, you cannot believe how many acorns and leaves they had to remove from over 5 miles of trails out there, and the course was absolutely in spectacular condition. So we were very glad to have a beautiful day, to have a great meet.
I know you were planning on going out there on Friday to help set up the course. What was your role in that?
Well, pretty much everything. Just kind of making sure everything got done the way it needed to do. We wanted to put up some snow fencing for crowd control on the start and the finish area, and just did a lot of work on trying to make sure the start lines, finish lines were set up properly. going out and putting up a lot of the markings on the course and mile markers and some of the some of the areas where we had to control where the runners were going, make sure that they were in good shape that way.
Yeah, speaking of the crowd, obviously always great to have all the Bates alums out there, right?
Oh, it was a tremendous turnout. I mean, just on both men's and women's side, it was so fun to see so many people come back. I had some parents from the parents of Andrew Wortham, who graduated in 2013, came back just because they knew we were hosting and they loved cross country meets at Pineland. So they drove all the way up to watch the meet. So it was pretty exciting to see that many people.
On the men's side, Zach Megan, first team All-NESCAC based on his performance. I mean, he's really had a breakthrough year, hasn't he? What's really clicked, you think, for him?
He's a senior, and I know that, and he's a captain. He's a tremendous leader. I think that clock has been ticking all year long. Zach is a very talented young man who has been, made a significant impact all the way through from his freshman year on. He did have to deal with some injuries at times, which kept him out. But bottom line is this has been his year, and he's really capitalized on it. He's been healthy. He's been training really, really well, and just a tremendous leader for the team. And great to see him have that type of success.
The team as a whole got third. I mean, that's your best finish in 2011. Was that expectation exceeded it?
I think that really kind of exceeded our expectations. We were seeded 5th going in, and we ended up beating two teams that were ranked ahead of us. Colby College was ranked just a little bit ahead of us in the national poll, but probably the exciting thing was we ended up beating Williams, and we don't get a chance to do that very often, and they were ranked 13th in the nation. So certainly, as far as the rankings are concerned, they don't mean an awful lot, but it does indicate a level of accomplishment when you're running well against those types of teams.
Right, and we mentioned Megan being All-NESCAC, but he was the only All-NESCAC. This just shows all the great depth you had up and down the lineup, right?
Yeah, we had 3 guys in the top 20, so we just 2 just missed the All-NESCAC level, but then we also had we had our all 5 in the top 35, and that generally yields a pretty good result in this meet. If you can get your scores in that top 35. The higher the better, obviously, but generally that's going to put you in contention. But even watching the race, I wasn't quite sure. I really felt like we were probably still in 4th or 5th, but I was really pleased when the scores came out and saw that we had actually got in front of both of those teams.
Terrific. So how does it set you up for regionals? I know this weekend you're not racing, but then the regionals still in Maine at Gorham there, but how does it set you up for that?
Well, I think pretty well. Certainly going into it, going into regionals, we're going to add, another outstanding team from MIT. They'll be, joining the NESCAC group that we didn't have this past weekend, and I know that Williams will bounce back strong, and Colby College has proven that they can be a legitimate, threat for sure. I think our goals going in there will be to, kind of improve on some of the things that we can improve on, but basically do what we've been doing all year, and that's running as a team, running in packs, feeding off of each other, and we saw a ton of that going on this weekend. And had a couple of guys that weren't running all that well, but we had other guys that really stepped up and really met the challenge firsthand. And so moving forward, if we can run the way we have, Zach has now given us a presence up front, which is really nice. Wasn't sure we had that at the beginning of the year, but he's really stepped into that role. And probably the strength of our team has been our pack times, and our pack times have generally been, around 30 to 35 seconds. And if we can do that off of a strong front that Zach's giving us right now, then I think we have a good shot.
Yeah, for people who maybe don't know how nationals get selected, how do the regionals factor into it? It's pretty important, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's the determining factor. Top 2 make it automatically, and then and there's 8 regions across the country, so there's 16 teams that will get in automatically, and then there's 16 teams that will be selected at large, and from that, the first thing they're going to look at is your regional performance. So if we can finish, if we could finish 3rd or 4th at regionals, I think we'll really help ourselves. If we could do better, we make it automatically, but certainly if we're in those spots, we're going to probably be in pretty good shape. If we're 5th at regionals, we have a chance, but it will kind of depend on the selection committee. I mean, we've had a good year. We had a good run against RPI, quite a few weeks ago. But they're going to probably be an automatic qualifier out of the Atlantic region, and we had a good run against them. We beat Williams, we beat Con, so we've had some good wins on our side. So we'll see what happens.
Great, terrific. I know the guys must be so excited for this opportunity, right? I know the senior class, that's their big motivation the whole year.
It really is, and they've really, I said this from day one. They really have provided the foundation for this team, and we can go into into, every meet knowing that we're going to be pretty solid just because of, their work, their preparation, their determination, and their focus. And yes, this group hasn't been to nationals, and I know they would love to. That would be a tremendous accomplishment as they conclude their careers at Bates College.
Well, off to a great start. Third place in the NESCAC Championships. Coach Fereshetian, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron.
The volleyball team defeated St. Joseph's 3-0 on Tuesday, fell 3-0 to Amherst on Friday, and bounced back to beat Trinity 3-0 on Saturday. They finished the regular season with 12 wins, their most in one season since 2009. Bates qualified for the NESCAC Championships with a 4-6 record in conference play, and the Bobcats visit top seed Tufts this Friday at 5 o'clock.
Previewing the NESCAC Volleyball Championships with the head coach of the Bobcats, Melissa DeRan. And, Coach, first of all, you faced the number 1 seed Tufts, but you faced them in the regular season. Tufts got the victory, but that match was really close, wasn't it?
It was really close. I think it was 25-23, 25-22, 27-25, it was a total of 7-point difference. So, yeah, it was a really close matchup. We had, kind of looking back and reviewing it, our lineup has changed a little bit since then. Our system's changed a little bit since then. So we're excited to go into Friday and see how much better we've gotten.
And you've been challenging the team recently. That trip to Wisconsin, obviously a bunch of tough opponents, and then you finished up the year with 2 more NESCAC foes. So it's been a challenging slate in recent weeks, hasn't it?
It has been, and we did that by design. We did that, last year with just getting to the NESCAC tournament. I think is just such an honor this year because they're top to bottom, everybody's just so darn strong. So we knew going into the NESCAC weekend, we needed to, I use the analogy with the girls, we have to put some more weight on the bar and go and see somebody really, really tough. So, hopefully reaping those benefits when we come back. And, and it certainly helped in our last weekend, and hopefully that carries into the NESCAC tournament.
You get a full week to prepare for it, unlike maybe some other sports. But then it's each day after that. If you win Friday, you have to play Saturday. Yeah. So hopefully the case, but not much turnaround time, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, it goes fast. If you win on Friday, you go Saturday. You win on Saturday, you go Sunday, which is exactly how the NCAA tournament is set up for us as well. So, that's the overarching goal that our program wants to head down towards is the NCAA tournament. So anytime we can do this, it's good practice for that format.
Are there any key aspects of the match you're really going to be focused on in order to beat Tufts?
Serve and pass. Definitely serve and pass. We have to be a little bit more aggressive with our serving. We have to take a few more chances. We have to get Tufts out of system. They're a great team. Every single one of their hitters can put a ball away. And if we just send over some easy stuff, they're gonna pound on us. So it's going to be really important for us to make them uncomfortable with that. And I'm sure Cora would be saying the same thing. So we've got to be ready to pass some of the serves they're going to send our way.
And you've beaten some of the top teams in the conference this year. You beat Bowdoin, you beat Wesleyan. So that's got to give the team a lot of confidence, right?
It does, and I didn't mean to hesitate there. It has given us confidence. It's also just kind of kept things in perspective. It shows us what we're capable of, but also humbles us enough to know that we're also, we've lost some matches in the middle of the pack that we can't get. Those wins are great, but we can't we can't put too much stock in it. You still have to show up every night and be ready to go. And, now it's kind of do or die time, so we got to be ready.
Yeah, and you got some special seniors I'm sure everyone wants to win these matches for, right?
We do, and we haven't talked too much about that because I know it's so in the forefront of everyone's mind that at this point we're really playing, we're playing for all of us, but really knowing that every time those seniors put a jersey on it, it might be the last time they do it. And we'd like to keep that. We'd like to extend our time with them as long as possible, for sure.
And I know Jacqueline Forney, she's been like the leader. She's been the captain for 3 years, starting her sophomore season. I bet you don't want to think about replacing her next year, right?
I am in denial with that. I will find those seniors some extra eligibility somewhere. That's just part of coaching. Every 4 years you're going to lose just some really fantastic kids, and sometimes that's also sometimes the hardest part of coaching. It will certainly be a different look next season, which is why we're going to try and postpone that for as long as we possibly can.
Final weekend before the NESCAC tournament last weekend, you had that loss to Amherst, but you bounced back the next day to beat Trinity. What did that say about the players? Because obviously the Amherst match was probably pretty heartbreaking just because it was a big one for seeding and everything.
It was heartbreaking because quite honestly, and I don't want to take anything away from Amherst. I thought they played great, but we just played so I think we played so poorly. It might have been one of the better things to happen to us because we had been on such a long streak of doing really, really well. Great practices, great matches. I think it was a nice wake-up call that, okay, yeah, we're human. We still need to kind of make sure that we're putting the work into practice and trying to get better, not just biding time to get to the NESCAC tournament. So I was really happy to see him turn it around on Saturday. Trinity came out with a lot of fire. And for us to kind of turn around and play better, I think led us into just such a better start to our week from a practice standpoint.
And this week in practice, what's going to be some things you're really focusing on?
Gosh, there's a lot. You know, at this point in the year for us, you know, while technique is still important, right now we're going to be working a ton on defense. We're going to be working a ton on effort plays, just getting ready to kind of have to go in, hopefully, into 3 matches and really physically and mentally grind out 3 really hard opponents. So we're going to be working a lot on just kind of defensive intensity. And then everything else, we're just going to keep trying to fine-tune the details. Like I said before, serve and pass. Obviously, want to work on offense. I've got some hitters. But defense first and serve and pass will be right behind there.
To wrap up this episode, we go back to the gridiron. Senior place kicker Grant DeWald earned NESCAC Special Teams Player of the Week honors for his 2 field goals and 3 extra points Saturday at Colby. DeWald joined the Bobcast to reflect on the Bobcats' season so far and his journey to where he is now.
I think a lot of guys are coming into this next game with a lot more energy. I think there's a lot more enthusiasm and excitement. It definitely was a long time coming, and it's exciting to see how all these guys, especially the younger guys in the team, have really developed and grown into their roles, and I think we're really starting to hit some strides. So I think Saturday is going to be a lot of fun.
As a kicker, you're obviously a specialist, so take us through a typical practice for you. Are you watching them a lot?
Practice for me is interesting, to say the least. To the outside observer, it looks like we don't really do that much, which is kind of funny. So a typical practice for me, I'll show up. I'll usually stretch, do some form work, some short game things, just practicing my leg swings, practicing ball contact, things like that. Then after our warm up, I'll usually have a few reps with my holder and my snapper just to get some rhythm down. On Wednesdays and Thursdays, we'll have a chance to do some live practice reps where I'll have guys rushing me, and that's kind of the week. I mean, there's a 15-30 minute period where I'm under the microscope and I'm under pressure a little bit, and then after that, it's less intense. Let's put it that way. I'm walking around the field, talking to the trainer, talking to some of the guys, getting to spectate practice, stretching, trying to look like I'm being busy. But yeah, practice is a lot of fun.
All right, so you're a senior now. Take us back to when you were first looking at colleges. How did you decide to come to Bates?
So when I was looking at Bates, I was really looking for a community feel. That's something that, I came from Tabor Academy. It's something that during my time there I found really, really important and something that I really value. So for me, what really sealed the deal with Bates was I had the chance to really spend the whole day here and walk around and spend some time with some of the students that I knew here. And I talk about this on tour. I'm one of the tour guys here at Bates, and it's something that I call the Bates hello, in that Bates is one of the most friendly places that I've ever seen. And for me, seeing the ways that people interact with each other and just have a quick hello of seeing somebody, not sometimes outside their normal 9 to 5, sometimes you just see somebody walking across campus, just that quick little hello that you see between Bates students, that's really what sold me. This place is incredibly friendly. It's an incredibly warm, open, and welcoming community, and for me, that's really what sealed the deal when it came to Bates.
Did you know right away you'd be going out for football to be a place kicker?
I had no idea whatsoever. I started playing football my senior year of high school. Let's put it this way. I was a soccer player all through high school, and I wasn't particularly good at it, but I just knew how to kick the ball pretty far. So I decided to play football my senior year. They needed a kicker, and they didn't need a particularly good one. So one thing led to another. But I was not a particularly good kicker in high school, and it was one of those things where my coach asked me after a game, hey, application deadline just came up. Where'd you apply? I said Bates. And he said, okay, great, I'll send them some film. And I said, okay, hang on a second. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. One thing led to another. I had a conversation with Coach Averill and showed up at preseason and started my freshman year.
And your first career field goal at Bates was the first career field goal you've ever made at any level, right?
Yeah, thankfully, I don't think Bates ever saw my statistics in high school, but I'd say I might have hit half the extra points that I had, and I never hit a field goal in high school. So my first field goal ever was against Bowdoin. I had just gotten the starting role the game prior in the Colby game, and this was really my first collegiate start, and to suddenly have that field goal at the end with a lot of pressure on, it was a lot. So I remember kind of having a heart attack as we were starting to get closer, thinking, oh gosh, this could come down to this. And I've never done this before.
What's your interactions like during practice with your holder, your long snapper, maybe Foley the punter? Because you guys are all part of the special team.
Yeah, it's a great little camaraderie that we have. I mean, it's Foley and I just sort of mill around practice and shoot the breeze, and working with Matt and working with Jack Merritz is great. They're two really efficient guys, and in a lot of ways, it really takes the pressure off me knowing that I have somebody as big as Matt standing right next to me, just in case if anything goes wrong, I've got some pretty big dudes around me. So it's very comforting to know that I have a guy who can always get the ball down and is very in control of the situation. So I think we have a great relationship on our special teams.
This year, you set your career long for field goals, I think, multiple times this season. And so is it just a matter of the coaching staff having more trust in you as a senior, or have you, seen your range personally, start to develop here?
I think it's kind of a two-step process. Over the course of my time at Bates, I've worked to increase my leg strength and my range. But a big part of that is, I think, Harriman's trust with me, and that builds off of my consistency, my accuracy, and a lot of the mental components that go into kicking. I think over the time here at Bates, I've become much more mature mentally, and I'm much better under pressure, and I've figured out the mental game. But a big component of when we get to kick from distance is the offensive scenario that we're in. So getting those chances to kick from 38 and from 43, that's been great, but that's mostly been because of one part, having the ability to do it, two, having Harriman's trust in me to be able to do it, but three, most importantly, having the offense be in that scenario and be in that range. There's a lot of times where this season we've gone for it on fourth down from that distance, and it usually makes all the sense in the world, and usually I'm yelling, let's go for it. Kind of both because I'm somewhat anxious about kicking from that distance, but also just it's a scenario that is really it only happens because our offense gets us there.
Take us inside practice. What's the longest field goal you've ever made in practice?
In practice, without a holder and without a snapper, I think the longest that I've made is a 55. And I think in practice with a holder and a snapper, I think the longest that I've hit is a 47.
Take us back again, though, your first year when you're first walking onto the team. What was that experience like in general?
Oh, I mean, that was an incredible experience. There's a photo from, I think, my first day on campus of us, lifting and doing testing. And it's a photo of Luke Coombs from my freshman year. He was a senior, doing a hang clean, and I'm behind him, screaming. And for some reason, the focus is on me, making this weird face. But I always go back to that first day because football was still a pretty new thing to me. College football was a complete unknown to me. I had no idea what that was going to feel like. And walking in that first day, just seeing that incredible energy, seeing guys that were 3 times the size of me going absolutely crazy and screaming and supporting each other, and just the noise of that room and the noise of that weight room. It just instantly set the tone for the rest of my time here. That this program, this team is so. It's so positive. There's so much building each other up, and it was something that I wasn't used to. It wasn't something that I wasn't expecting, but it's just an incredibly positive environment, and the guys are probably the best guys that I've ever met.
And this weekend, you have a chance to become the first senior class to ever beat Colby and Bowdoin each year for 4 straight years. What would that mean to you?
For me, that would mean a lot. I mean, personally, I think it's one of the cool things about this class in particular, because that started with Frank Williams, our captain, getting that overtime touchdown against Colby our freshman year, and then me as a freshman hitting the field goal at Bowdoin that year as well that won the title for us our freshman year. So I think I think setting that record for our class would be really special for us, because every single guy in our class has had an integral role in making that happen all 4 years. At every point down the road, one of the guys in our class has made that happen. So I think that it's a really cool record for us to be able to have.
So you have some varied interests, it sounds like, outside of football also. Sailing. Tell us about, you sail a lot.
Yeah, I sail a lot. You could say that. Before coming to Bates, I sailed really competitively, independently and in high school as well. I was actually planning on doing college sailing instead, and I was planning on being a recruit to another college and trying to follow the All-American path. And when I came up and saw Bates, it was a moment where I said, okay, Bates doesn't have a sailing program, and I have to question, is this something that's really important to me that I need to do college sailing and do that path, or do I want to try something new and just, this place feels so right, so how much do I really value this? And I came to the decision that sailing's always going to be there, and I decided to pursue Bates and eventually pursue football instead. But sailing's been something that I've been very passionate about. After my personal racing career came to an end, I became really involved in the sport from a coaching perspective. I've spent the past 5 years as a coach on Cape Cod, working pretty much in either 1 to 2 year shifts, working with small local programs that are kind of on the up-and-coming aspect, and working with them to develop management plans and how they can improve over the years, and what they can do to become a program that is going to be a really big contender in the southern Massachusetts Cape Cod circuit. So in addition to that, I've worked on developing sailors. I've worked on helping kids get recruited to college. So for me, that's been a great way for me to keep my foot in the sport and keep my feet wet, so to speak.
I think you're musically inclined also.
I do the musics. I'm a sax player. I've played in the Bates Jazz Band. Music is something that is really personal for me. It's in a lot of ways like kicking in that it's a chance for you to sort of get up and be in the moment. I've done everything from play on the main street in Nashville to playing on the stage at Bates, and it's always been something for me that is a great way to kind of blow off some steam and have some fun.
Last question for you: thoughts on Senior Day?
Thoughts on Senior Day? It's going to be a big game. There are definitely some records and some statistics that are on my mind going forward. I think I'm two field goals away from a consecutive record. I'm 8 points away from 100 career points. So for me, moving forward, I think the big mental focus for me is making sure that I'm in the best physical and especially mental shape to go out and be able to perform and execute and make those statistics a reality. But I think also for the other guys, it's a lot. This is very much a game about sealing the deal and finishing something that we started last week. And for some seniors, it's about finishing something that we started freshman year.
Next time on the Bates Bobcast, we'll tell you if Bates wins its 4th straight CBB Series title. Plus, we'll look back at volleyball's performance in the NESCAC tournament, and we will look ahead to the NCAA regionals for the cross-country teams. All that and more next time on the Bates Bobcast.
Bates, Bates,